Hello and welcome to Finding Your North Star, the HGKC podcast series where we talk to prominent business people about their experiences and challenges of innovation. In this, our Somerset Stories series of podcasts, we're inviting our guests to share both their personal experience and a strategic perspective of a county that presents a unique combination of challenges and opportunities. Hinkley Point C and Agratas have turned Bridgewater into a boomtown. Yeovil is one of the biggest concentrations of precision engineering in Europe and a college that is offering apprenticeships at every level to record numbers of students. But Somerset is a county with a declining birth rate that many people retire to. It's an area of outstanding natural beauty. The Mendip, Blackdown, Quantock Hills, Exmoor National Park, the Somerset Levels and Moors, but with poor local transport links, a shortage of affordable housing and low social mobility. I'm Peter Quintana, and I'm delighted to be joined in this episode by Sakina Buoy, founder and chairman of the Somerset Toiletry Company. Welcome, Sakina. It's lovely to have you on the show.
Thank you. Very lovely to be here.
So I wanted to start by asking you what initially brought you to Somerset, or what's kept you here, and how has the local environment shaped your career?
Yes. So what brought me, you can probably tell from my accent that I am not from here originally, but my husband was born in Bristol and he had a career in the United States. And I moved from Canada, which is where I grew up, although I was born in England, but my parents emigrated to Canada when I was 6. I moved back to the UK at 26. We met in a previous toiletry company that he owned. He hired me as a consultant. I was an aromatherapist. He was a businessman. And we had a company called Applewoods, which we sold. And then we started our little company here in Somerset. We wanted to be within commuting distance, Bristol and Heathrow, but we ended up wanting also to live in the countryside and have a little company where there was no commuting. So we happened upon Clutton,
Yeah,
which for us is the epicenter of the world. But it's always funny when I see people talking about their head office in New York and London. And obviously, we've put Clutton on the map, we feel.
you certainly have.
Yeah, but yeah, it is such a beautiful place to be because we're in the countryside between Bristol and Bath. You have the excitement of Bristol, the music scene, the innovative companies there. You have the incredible history of Bath,
Mm.
and then an hour and 20 minutes into London. But to be in the countryside is utterly wonderful. So essentially, we came here because it was my husband's home, his childhood. And as we both traveled quite a lot, and we brought up our kids here, and it's very much home
Yeah.
now. Sadly, my husband died nearly 10 years ago now. But yes, for my sons and I, this is very much our home.
And your son, or at least one of your sons, is heavily involved in the business as well. And
Actually, both of my
both
sons.
of them are, right? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think they joined the business earlier than they would have if their dad hadn't died.
Right.
But they both went to university and they have very different skill sets. And it started as a family company. When there were just 5 of us, it was myself, my husband, and one of my husband's cousins.
Right.
And even though we've grown from just a few people in 1999 when we started, we're now 76 people, but my husband's cousin is still there. Now my sons have joined, and quite a lot of the people that work for us have been with us for a long time. And although we're a much bigger company, obviously, than the 4 or 5 that started, I still like it to feel like a family business. I still like it to have that reasonably intimate and, yeah, friendly feel.
That's quite an achievement when you've grown from 5 to 70 something. And you said you founded in 99, so you're 27 years old, aren't you? I
Yes.
know when we met last year, you were talking about your 25th anniversary
Yes.
and the way you celebrated that. And I just wanted to ask you about that because it was quite a special thing that you did that year. And it'd be interesting to learn a little bit more about what you did, why you did it, and what the impact was.
Yeah, it was an amazing year. It just felt 25 years was something to be marked. We had always worked on an old pig farm at the back of Clutton. And although we were growing and growing, people didn't know much about us because we were hidden away. We are in shops right across Britain, but we also do a lot of international business. And because we have brands which don't have the Somerset Toiletry Company on, a lot of people will have seen our products, but they won't know that we're the ones that have made them. We ended up having very much difficulty finding new premises when we were growing. But we ended up buying the old Warwick Arms in Clutton, which was an old pub. So
I
we kind
remember when it was an old pub.
Yes, most people do. It was a Yes, it was a well frequented pub, although sadly the reason it was being sold was because it just couldn't make any money and hadn't for years.
Mm.
And so we then came out on the main road and we opened a cafe. Around that time, we decided that we were going to manufacture soap in Somerset, which is really very much part of our sustainability journey, making things actually manufacturing here in the UK. So all of those things were going on, as well as COVID in 2020, which had slowed down a lot of what we were doing. But then it was our 25th anniversary in 24. And we decided that we wanted to do 25 acts of kindness. And that was not only moving out of the back of Clutton, moving onto the main road, but a lot of people got to know us over that time.
Yeah.
So we were doing things like supporting a hedgehog rescue and a dog rescue. And we went to the cricket and supported a charity that was started to help young people who lose their parents. And we were just raising money and we were having events in our cafe, and which is a new business that came along with the pub. And we started in January and we didn't complete them until December. We got to know lots of local charities and we got to know lots of national charities. And it was exhausting, but a wonderful experience. We actually do support a charity who we give an office within our building, which is Billy Chip, who have an amazing way of supporting homeless people.
Yes.
So that is very much a part of what we try and do. But organizing 25 events, some of them smaller and some of them bigger, and having people from the company going and helping. We're building mud yurts for somebody who has all sorts of animals on their farm and does education. So there were all sorts of amazing things that we were doing that we were learning at the same time. And it really, I think, made us feel a much bigger part of the community, which was a wonderful thing because when you're in business, it's not just about what you do in terms of your business life, but it really feels like you want to be part of your local community.
Yeah, and it would have brought your team together as well around what you were doing, wouldn't it? And not only embedding you in a community in new premises, but bringing your team together around these 25 acts of kindness. I think it's a wonderful way to celebrate 25 years. Really good.
Thank you. Thank you. It really was quite a year. We did say at the end of the year, whew, we're exhausted. We probably won't do a year like this again until our 50th, and then it won't be me doing it. But
Well, you never.
yeah, there were some of us that were involved in everything, and then different people from the company, depending on what they were interested in, would get involved in different things. So you're absolutely right. It was great for us, as the outreach that we had with it.
Yeah, excellent. We talk to lots of businesses and they're facing some fairly significant challenges, the changes in legislation, all sorts of other things that the government is doing. But what are the most pressing challenges for the Somerset Toiletry Company? Is that skills, recruitment, infrastructure, what else?
Not so much skills. We're very lucky that because we have essentially within one business, we have three stroke four businesses. So we have the main business, which is we design and develop bath and body products that we sell across the United Kingdom and in about 55, 60 countries around the world.
Wow.
And some of our businesses, we make our own products that we sell. And another part of our business is we work with some very large retailers and we make branded products for them.
Right.
And so we need people who have all sorts of talents. We have lots of designers and art workers, and then obviously the salespeople and the admin staff and finance and marketing and our website. So there's a whole host of skills there. And generally speaking, we hire most people that work for us, they come from all the surrounding area. So people will drive into the countryside from Bristol and Bath and Bridgewater. And we even have one person living in Wales that comes to us, Frome, and we're the epicenter of that. And then we have a lot of local people that work in our factory and warehouse and in our cafe and gift shop. So it's a whole mixed bag of skills. And in general, we're very lucky with people wanting to come and work with us. There are issues that everybody knows about with transport links in the country. So we actually have two people currently who come by bus from Bristol out to Clutton. And the bus service is reasonably good there because it's every half an hour and we're on the main road. But if we were off the main road as we used to be, that wouldn't work. But a lot of the local transport links have changed. So quite a few of the people that work in our warehouse, which is just 3 miles down the road in Halletrow, do have some trouble getting in to work packing soap or working on our soap machine. And that's a real shame to me. So we get people from Poulton, Midsummer Norton, and yes, the links change, and I don't really understand what happens there. I assume it's funding. The big thing for us was and has been commercial property, which I think is known to be a problem in Bath and Northeast Somerset. When we were looking to move, there was just nowhere that we could find. And because we are the center of that hub, and I didn't want to lose anybody from the move because I really like everybody that works for us. And obviously, everybody has mortgages to pay. It took probably about 12 years. So when the Warwick Arms came up, it was amazing for us because it was just round the corner, but it took a lot of work to make it from an old pub into offices. So we had to spend quite a lot of money on it. And that's when I had the idea of making it into a cafe. So it was still a place that people could come to because there's not a lot going on in Clutton. If you've ever been,
I've
it's a
driven through on many occasions. Unless you go off the street at the side, you don't really see much of it other than that main road through the middle of the village, do you?
yes, it's a beautiful part of the country, as a lot of Somerset is, but it just has no infrastructure there, which is a bit sad because everybody has to get in their cars and drive to get their groceries, even to get their milk. There's nowhere to go.
No.
But it is beautiful. So that is a problem. There's just not enough commercial property, and you have companies that leave. They start off in a small office and they grow, and there's nowhere to grow into. And I was just determined to stay. So it took us 12 years to find something. I would say the most difficult thing for us at the moment as a business is the legislation that is constantly changing, that we constantly have to adapt to, that costs us hundreds of thousands of pounds a year. And it's just the speed of which new legislation is coming in is so rapid that it's hard to keep up with. And the time and manpower it takes to keep up with new legislation, and then the cost of fulfilling a lot of that new legislation. I used to think that we were a creative company that manufactured beautiful products and sold them around the world, which is fundamentally what we do. But we have a huge part of our business now that it just has to deal with all the legislation. Some of that came from Brexit, but there's all sorts of things to do with packaging and recycling and uploading all of our ingredients list to portals. It used to be it was just a European one, and now we have to do it in the UK, and we have to do it in Europe, and we have to do it in the United States. And we now have an agency that we work with and two full-time people who just deal with this day in, day out. And the reality is we could probably have four full-time people and their time would be totally filled.
Mm.
And what worries me about that is not only is it on top of national insurance, on top of business rate rises, on top of increasing costs everywhere, but I just wonder about young people starting businesses now and how they deal with all of these things from the get-go of their business, because it's very confusing and it's very expensive and it's very time consuming. And some of the legislation we need, but there's a lot of things that have been so overcomplicated and that just trying to understand, even with people that have been educated to understand this, and just changing so quickly, it really does worry me for the
Yeah,
future.
I think you're not just talking about employment legislation there either, are you?
No,
Employment legislation changes are complex, and I think a lot of people think they're going further than they should. But these are regulatory changes to do with product and packaging. And you wouldn't
absolutely.
think that a company that makes toiletries would be subject to all of that. I can understand that Brexit would have been a problem. It is a problem for a lot of the companies that we work with. They're trying to work in Europe and having to deal with all of that VAT stuff and everything else. It's hard work. The natural entrepreneurship of small business owners is being really stifled, in my view.
I totally agree with you. And we're very lucky because we have been around now for 27 years and we have grown. And therefore, although it obviously very much cuts into our profit, we can afford to do this. I just wonder what it is like for young people. Innovation in Britain, we used to be known as a country of innovators, and the backbone of our society is small business.
Yeah,
And hate to talk doom and gloom because I have a wonderful business and I love what I do and a wonderful group of dedicated, talented people. And that's really what we should be glorying in every day is the things that we're creating. And sadly, there is just often so much paperwork to do, so many new things that we have to pay for. There are days where you just look at and you think, where is this going to go?
yeah,
How are we going to cope with this?
yeah, yeah,
And I think it is the fast evolution of legislation coming in, changing, ingredients being changed. So all of our packaging has to be changed because if one ingredient is taken away, sometimes you get 2 years, but other times it happens really quickly and all this packaging you just have to throw away, which is dreadful for the environment.
yeah,
But if you have an ingredient change, you have to change that on the packaging so you can no longer sell that the
yeah,
way it is. So yeah, it is right now a very difficult place to be as a business. And obviously with the war at the moment, we know the price of all our shipping is going to go up, the price of all sorts of ingredients are going to go up. And the last thing we want to do is put prices up for the consumer. But ultimately, if you can't make money from what you're doing, that's what you have to do. And it is everybody out there who's purchasing their soaps and their shower gels that will end up having to pay for it.
yeah. Yeah, it is. It's painful. I think there's so much of this going on, and we see it. We see business owners struggling. It's just getting in the way.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And not to be political in any way here, because everybody comes in and they do their own thing. This government came in saying we're going to support business,
Mm.
and I don't see a single thing that they're doing that actually supports business right now, which is sad and
Oh, yeah.
worrying,
Yes.
as I say, especially for young people who have an entrepreneurial streak and do want to start businesses. It is so expensive now, very different than when we started 27 years ago, I believe.
Because
Yes.
they did come in talking very positively about the support they were going to offer to small businesses, and I haven't seen it. I
No,
haven't.
I don't think anybody has, and they seem to be in their own little world where they still believe they're supporting business, but there is no evidence out there to support it other than, oh, we talk to businesses all the time who say how wonderful it all is. And I don't know who they're talking to, but certainly nobody I know.
No, and I wonder who they are talking to. You talked about transport and connectivity. You're on the main road through Clutton, so from a
Yes.
driving perspective, it's not difficult to get to you. But you mentioned problems with public transport links, buses, and there's no train station that goes anywhere near there, is there? What changes to transport would make the biggest difference for you?
I have to say, right now, for us, we're very difficult to reach without a car.
Yeah,
Price of petrol is definitely not helping. We're right on the top of a hill too, so even people that like to cycle, they'd have to be really fit
yes.
to get to us. And so it's really the generic better public transport. But I do understand we're living in a time where all the money is stretched.
Mm,
And I see buses go by quite often where we are that are really quite empty.
mm,
And so you understand why some routes they don't put on more buses. Just getting around Bristol these days in a car is very difficult, getting around Bath. So the people that come to us often have to take longer routes to get to us with a car. And some of those routes have been taken up by a bus lane, but with very few buses running. So right now, I think it's a very mixed up policy. We talk the talk of better public transport, but we don't provide it. And we're making it harder and harder for cars. And if therefore, because we work in the countryside, it is just you have to use a car, and it's just becoming more and more difficult. I don't know the answer, Peter. If I did, I'd probably be running for office. I don't know. But yeah, I do think you have to accept that people use cars in the countryside. That's how they get around.
mm,
And until we have amazing transport, that's just always going to be the way it is.
yeah.
And as I say in Clutton, just to get a pint of milk, you have to get in the car. So that's not changing, but the price of petrol and diesel are skyrocketing. It's really affecting everybody in their pockets. It's not a good place to be right now in terms of pricing.
No, I agree with that. I want to talk a little bit about housing as well. So I don't know what's going on around Clutter. I live in Frome. There's a lot of new build going on here. How has Somerset's availability or shortage of housing impacted your ability to attract and retain staff?
As I said before, we're very lucky because we do have a lot of local people. And I mean, housing is expensive wherever you go now. I think about when I first bought my first apartment as opposed to what young people now have to spend, and it is night and day.
Mm,
I think we're in a dreadful circle, though, aren't we? In that we're putting up minimum wage, but that doesn't come anywhere near to what people need for housing. But that puts up pricing for business, and we're in this never-ending circle. We do have to get more affordable housing. Where we are, there is a plan around Clutton to build on a large swathe of farmland, a load of houses. I don't want to see too much of the countryside disappear because the United Kingdom is all about its beautiful countryside, but I also recognize that we need more housing and it does need to be affordable. But once again, right now, I see that there's a lot of talk, but not a lot of building going on.
I think
So,
the biggest challenge is finding developers that are prepared to build affordable housing. There are supposed to be some percentages for affordable housing on each development. Whether they're being met or not, I don't know, but they seem to be very low. So
yeah.
young people coming out of school and college and looking, whether it's in Frome or in Clutton, are going to be thinking there isn't anywhere here that I can live.
And it used to be, of course, a lot of young people going to the cities.
Mm,
And we now see certainly prices in Bristol, prices in Bath, prices in London, and loads of people moving out of London now. But it's not affordable either in the countryside. And of course, yes, in the countryside, there isn't enough housing. And once again, I don't know the answer to that, but I do think it's something that we need really experienced people, developers, builders, who should be being consulted. I think there needs to be from the government a lot more consultation with people who understand whatever they're looking at, whether it's transport, whether it's building. There needs to be a lot more consultation with businesses that understand that and that understand how you can cut costs and make it work, or if you can only give this percentage to affordable housing in order for it to make sense for developers. Obviously, there are businesses out there who are all about profit and who are not always the best people to speak to, but I think there's loads of businesses who really want to be part of the community and who really have a lot of expertise that could really help government in their endeavors to do all sorts of things in the country, and they're just not consulted. And I think you've got a load of people in government at the moment who don't have experience in the departments that they're working in. And I think that is not helping in any of these situations.
Or experiencing running businesses either.
Yes, absolutely.
I think that makes a difference. And it's a shame that the major parties don't seem to have too many people in the senior roles now that have that level of experience, that can actually have a meaningful conversation with somebody like you about what businesses need in a place like Clutton.
Yes, and I agree with you, and I think it's night and day when you have somebody that is in the government that understands and somebody that doesn't. And the damage that having people in charge that don't understand do, I think, is really devastating. And I come back to young people and innovation in the UK being stifled because they just are not getting what they need. They're not getting the support. The costs are so high now of starting a business and all the things that go along with that, that I worry that as a nation, we are just losing the edge consistently. And so many people that run businesses, if they are able to leave the country, they are leaving the country, or they're selling up because they don't see the future. And these are really experienced people that could be very helpful to Britain becoming a better economy. And they're leaving. And I think that is devastating to our economy.
You've talked quite a bit about young people. There's a real problem of social mobility across Somerset. How do you think we, so the County of Somerset or local government or central government, can better support young people to develop skills and build careers locally and help to address issues such as youth retention? Because there is an outflow of young people from Somerset right now.
I mean, it's all about investing, isn't it, in youth and investing in their education and understanding what skills are required and helping people get the skills they need for what is required in this current market. And sadly, with minimum wage going up for young people, that makes it more and more difficult because if you have the choice between somebody coming into your company that you know is experienced and has a history that you can see on their CVs, and a young person that you know you're going to have to give time and energy and training to, and the gap between what you pay a young person and what you pay somebody more experienced is getting smaller and smaller. That's not a good situation to be in. But I don't know what the education system is doing because more and more people have gone to university recently, and some of the courses that are at university, I don't know that there are jobs at the end of that. Because there's some very unusual courses that I look at and I think you're paying all this money and you're coming out with these huge debts, and what does that lead you to?
Mm.
And I feel that there should be more technical colleges or university courses that are talking to businesses saying, what are the skill gaps? What can we do? I think we have an old educational system and the world has moved on, and the skill sets that companies require now are not necessarily the skill sets that schools are talking to their students about. I, you know,
I spoke to Mark Jordan at Yeovil and Becky Flower at Richard Hewish College in Taunton about this. And I have to say I have some sympathy with the challenge that they have, because you're right, technology is moving. The rise of artificial intelligence, for
mm,
example, how do you prepare a young person for a world that we probably don't even understand at this point? We look 5 years, even 2 years ahead. We don't know what technology is going to be providing for us. It's a real challenge. I think some of the schools and colleges are focusing more and more on the personal characteristics of the individuals that they're trying to develop. I know Richard Hewish talk about developing young people to be curious. We find curiosity is one of the rarest skills in a business owner. Business owners and senior leaders who are curious learn so much more simply because they're asking questions.
yeah.
And for young people to come out with that kind of mindset, to my mind, I think that's really positive. But I do have some sympathy with the challenges that they're facing, but it's difficult, isn't it?
Oh, I agree. And I also think we are trying to get young people to make major decisions about their careers too early.
Yes, definitely.
Some people, when they're young, they already know what they want to do because they have certain talents. But for many young people, you don't really understand what you want to do into your 20s and sometimes into your early 30s. And I would like to see, as you say, a broader educational system that encourages people to see, and maybe bringing more businesses in so young people can see the depth of jobs that there are out there. It's often you don't understand as a young person all the intricacies within a company. You just say there's a toiletry company, they make bath and body products. But if you actually look at all the different skill sets that people within the company have, it's incredibly broad. We do go to a couple of schools a year and present and show what we do and talk about the different skills. I don't know how many schools do that and how many colleges do that, but I think that's very helpful. And we're always happy to participate in that.
Do you have open days in Clutton where you invite schools in?
If people ask, we don't have many people that ask. We do get quite a lot of people getting in touch with us about coming to do work experience. And whenever we can fit them in, we can. It's easier if people come for a couple of days rather than a whole week. But it also depends on the time of year because we have silly season for us when we're all
Yes.
really working hard, generally working up to Christmas, which is often the beginning of the summer, which is when a lot of schools will send people out. But we always encourage that. And whenever we can have people in, we will. And it's wonderful to see them at the beginning of the week come in, often very shy and not really clear what they're doing there or having an idea about why they're coming. And by the end of the week, seeing them really blossom and talking to more people, and some of them saying, I thought I came in because I was interested in this, but actually, even though my interest is still in that area, it's changed the type of job I would like to train for.
I think that's the great thing about providing that experience, because nothing in the classroom in a school really prepares somebody for what it's really like working for the Somerset Toiletry Company or HGKC or any other firms. Nothing prepares them for that until they're actually there and can see what's going on. Like you said earlier in this conversation, Sakina, you look at the Somerset Toiletry Company and you think there's a company that makes soaps and bathroom products, but actually you do so much more than that, don't you?
We do. It's a very creative, well, I love it, clearly,
Yeah.
but it's a really creative environment to work in. And we've got such a mix of personalities. We still work in-house. We're very old-fashioned. We go to work every day. And of course, there are people that have to work from home sometimes, and we try and make it very easy for people to do that. But I just think it's really good for your head to come out and work with other people, and it's really good for creativity, and you learn a lot more when you
Yes.
come out.
Yeah.
And that's another thing I worry about the whole learning process by people working from home is not as rich as it used to be. Maybe I'm old-fashioned. I walk around the office and there's laughter. There'll be frustration and swearing, but there's lots of laughter and there's lots of conversation, and it feels very alive. And it's what we as humans need, I think. And I don't think you get that if you're working at a desk in your kitchen or your bedroom. It's, I will go into work some days and come back, and it's just been such a fun day. I'll go into work some days and I come back and it's been really frustrating. You have all of that human emotion going on and all of the interaction, and I think that's good for us as
I do.
people.
We are social and gregarious, aren't we? That is
Yeah,
what
we
we
are.
crave. We crave that company.
And I think that makes us more innovative because it gets us, as you say, curiosity, stimulation. You talk to people about things and an idea will be born of that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would love to see more of that.
So let me ask you this then. If you could change one thing about the business environment in Somerset or Baines, where you are, or in the UK, to unlock more growth or innovation, what would it be?
Oh, that's hard, one thing, because there's a few things that I really think need to
You can,
happen.
you can maybe have two then.
Uh, Definitely, we need more commercial property. We need to retain the business that we have. And if people grow, which is a very difficult thing, so many businesses close down in the first couple of years. So when you have people that are growing, you want to retain them and you want to encourage them and you want there to keep hiring the people that have made that business grow within Somerset. So you do need to have commercial property for people to be able to grow into. And I really think, certainly in Bath and Northeast Somerset, we really have a problem there.
Mm,
And the other thing is, I just think we really have to have government take a hard look at what it's doing and speak to a lot of people and forge a new way forward where they are working with business rather than against them, because that's what it does feel like right now. And that is a dreadful thing because there are so many clever and creative people in this country, and I want them all to succeed and go forward and grow. And it's sadly being made very difficult right now.
mm, well said. So finally, then, we talked quite a bit about young people. What message would you like to send to young people leaving school and thinking about the job market?
I think I'd come back to what you said actually about curiosity and about, I think I would love to say if you're passionate about something or make sure that your education is very good, but I actually do think that as a youth these days, you have to go out and explore what there is, all the different types of jobs there are. I certainly don't think that you have to make decisions too quickly. I would say if you don't know what you want to do, get yourself different jobs
Mm,
and learn about different kinds of businesses. I think your late teens and 20s are for exploring who you are and what you want to do. And don't feel pressurized into making a decision that you're going to regret down the road, especially if it involves university when you're also going to be in big debt. And just really take some time. And if you have to go back because you need training at university as an older student, I don't think that's a bad thing because I think you come with much more maturity. And yeah, look out there, really look at all the different businesses and try and understand where your skills, talents, interests lie, and find out all the companies that may offer things that you think you may enjoy from that.
mm.
But get to know yourself. I think that's what I would say.
It's a very powerful message. It's a very powerful message. That seems to be a good place on which to end this conversation, Sakina. It just remains for me to thank you for joining me. It's just been a real pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you, Peter. It's been wonderful to talk to you. And if I may say, Somerset is wonderful. So I don't want anybody to be put off. It's a wonderful place to live. It's beautiful and it's got so many things going for it. So, yeah, I know I've been a bit depressing about the state of business, but it
Not at
is.
all. It's interesting, though. This is the eighth or ninth podcast that we've done on this subject, and the message from everybody has been exactly that. This is a beautiful place to work. It's a beautiful place to live. it has some challenges, but together we can work through them and we can
Yes.
make it an even better place to be. And I think that's the message that hopefully people listening to this podcast series get.
Yes, I hope so too.
So if you would like to find out more about the Somerset Toiletry Company, explore their collections of beautiful, honestly priced, luxurious toiletries and learn about their sustainable journey, visit the somersettoiletryco.co.uk or go to Clutton and visit the shop and the cafe whilst you're there. If you'd like to find out more about HGKC and how we work with our clients on leadership, growth through innovation and preparation for exit, please visit our website, www.hgkc.co.uk. And if you're not a member of Somerset Chamber of Commerce, please visit the Chamber website to find out how the Chamber is supporting business across the county. Thank you for listening and goodbye.